Okay guys, so in this video we are gonna look at adding the algorithm to the landing page and basically setting a tag and finishing up this little epic of ours. So let's get into it. So we're gonna just quickly walk through the boilerplate stuff that we've been looking for at so far. So we have an ongoing story. Hopefully you start seeing a trend in this. This is kind of the process. Like you just do this over and over and over again. And that's basically how you work in a Kanban fashion. So we can see here in my little diff here that there's a few things that have changed. We've added an ID to the bottom element, and here we see we have a bunch of new code that has been added to our main script. And basically what we're going to do here is that we're going to grab the button, the number element, and the winner element, and then we're going to add an event listener to our button. So when somebody clicks it, we're going to call the random function. We're going to set the text content to whatever that is, the random number. And if the number is equal to 8, we're going to show the winner text tag, and otherwise we're going to just say display none. Cool. That's all we need. So finish algorithm, let's something like that, right? And then let's do a git push here. And let's copy paste that because I am a lazy person. To my little feature branch, and let's go over to GitHub. Here we are. We will create a pull request. Added it to the landing page. Create a pull request. Awesome. Nice. And then we will make a little bit of a check here to make sure that, hey, everything looks like we expect it to. It looks awesome. We move the card, and then we can start working on something else or help somebody else with something. And then another coworker comes in and sees that, hey, Frederick has something that is ready for code review. We pick that up and we go through the code here, and we see that, all right, there is a selector for an ID for button here, and here is the logic. And it seems to be fairly straightforward. It seems to be very simple. We could probably add a few comments here if we wanted to, but for this small little application, we don't really have to go that deep. So let's just call this done and done. Yes, feels natural. And now things are ready for testing. Somebody else comes and picks up and says that, hey, we're going to test this. And you may be wondering why it's important that another person is doing it. Well, the simple answer to that is that you have, as a developer, the person who is behind this feature, probably already tested it yourself. But as mentioned before, it is vital that somebody else tests it as well, and the same thing goes for code review. You don't review your own code. You have somebody else to take a fresh perspective or a fresh look at it. So we pull down Frederick's code and we do node server, and then we go and have a look at the application. So let's refresh that, and here we see that there is this text here, and if I click, there's a random number, and oh, winner, cool. So now we've tested all of the cases that we can kind of like think about. So this application now seems to pretty much be working in the intended manner. Nothing that seems to be wrong here. So we're going to say that, hey, this is ready to be merged, and then the person who is in charge of the merging, and most likely that's going to be you yourself, you get a ping saying that that's okay, and you click merge, and then you confirm the merge. And then we can delete the branch because we don't need that anymore. Cool. So once again, if we go to our master branch here, we will see that, hey, this code is actually not here anymore. But if we pull and we grab the remote changes, there is now our code, which is awesome because now officially we have merged all of the main features, so that is now done. So now we have this epic story here. Now usually it depends a bit on the strategy at your company, but what you usually want is to have some type of release. Now some people, depending on what strategy you use, will have a so-called release branch or stuff of this nature. I find it also to be very simple to simply use a tag. Now what is a tag? Well, a git tag is basically just a specific commit that where you can say that, hey, this is a version of my application, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to do a git tag. Let's do this here actually. Tag 1.0.0. So let's put a git tag. So git tags, tag you'll see that now we have a version tag, which is basically what we did now was on master. We said, okay, the state that master is in right now, let's put a tag on that and make that the 1.0 version. And let's push that tag. Let's see here, git push tag. Let's do that actually. There we are. So we push the tag. Here we are. And if we go to our code here, we will see that we are on master here and we have our branches, and then we can go to the tag sections, and here we actually now have our first version. So in future, if we now have a new feature that comes in and maybe we need to do some more stuff with this application, we still have a snapshot of what our application looked like at this point, and then we will create another tag for the next release, and then so forth and so forth. And that's usually the way it goes. So you can version the application in whenever you make a new release that goes out into production, because what you want is to have the option of doing a so-called rollback. Because what if, even though you follow this agile development process and you have all these tests and checks to make sure that everything works, well, sooner or later you're going to push something into production that doesn't work, and then it's very, very useful to have a tag that represents the previous version, so you can easily just roll back to that version and push that out, go back to the code that wasn't working, fix those things, and then make a new release. So tagging or versioning the releases is a very useful thing. So that is pretty much us done. We can move this epic to done. And now our backlog is completely empty, which in theory should never ever happen, but now we basically have released all the stuff that is related to our story, and now we can go to our stakeholders and say that, hey, we are done with this, and demo what we've done or something like that. And most likely what's going to happen is that they are going to groom some new stuff, or like fill up our backlog with new work, and then we will repeat this process over again. And that is the bare bone basics of how, well, at least I and most of the companies that I've been working for use a agile work process, basically. So yeah, have a great day.